What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
It's the ace of the tavern, Stephen ACEFIELD.
That's good old Mike BELCASTER.
Yeah, man, we're all in house tonight. We're all Tavern.
All Tavern, baby.
Horseman, baby. Woo! The
Fourth
Horseman,
appearance on the debate, baby, right here.
Episode 88.
88.
Creeping up on 100 debates.
That's crazy, man.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy because we're at 110 on the flagship and we're 88 on here.
I think
There
we're
wasn't
22 weeks behind the flagship. I think we were 22 episodes in before we started the debate.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. What a
Been-
ride.
What a fun ride. As Randy Moss said, it's going to be a fun ride.
Like it.
Well, I mean, we all know each other, but I mean, we all have stuff going on here. So everybody get a little plug in.
All right, I'll start with my stuff. Friday, you guys can catch myself and the man right underneath me, Shot of Nostalgia. We have a new start time, 7 p.m. Eastern, to make a little bit of room for before our time with Young Anthony and Nick Storm. You can also catch me on Wednesdays with the AEW wrap-up show. And we have a returning this Thursday, 2 days from now. We're doing Death Before Dishonor preview. Myself, Sneed, and Freems will be back with Honor Society. A lot going on in the tavern, so stay tuned, guys.
It's going to be
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I miss Honor Society.
Mike, you guys just had a epic last week, I guess it would be, now that this is a pre-recorded episode, but you guys had Jeremy Padower on Fig Night. That was awesome.
Yeah, man. The godfather of, I guess, our childhoods, right? I mean, that counts. Classic
Yeah.
Superstars line. Jack's Pacific, Jazz Wears, Wicked Cool Toys. Dude is a legend, man. And it's such an honor to get to sit down and talk to him and not bug him about shit, but just talk to him about life and him. And I wanted to hear more of his story. It was beautiful, man. A great episode. Make sure you guys go check that out. And as Ace said, Shot of Nostalgia, all elite wrap up. I'm all here. I'm the co-host with the most. And then you can catch me on Friday with sessions with good old Tom Montelto over there. We always have a good time talking. It's good.
And a couple of days ago, guys, the audio only dropped of the Jeremy Padower episode in podcast form. So make sure you guys check that out. If you're not into videos or whatever it is, check that out where podcasts are found. It's on the Turnbuckle Tavern.
Yeah,
It's
and
always
tonight we got the fucking GCW show returning. If you guys are listening to the debate tonight, GCW, we got Back to the Bay and No Silence in the Hills, both of those events. Plus, we'll be recapping all the big news that happened in our absence. So that'll be fun.
Pumped, man. I cannot wait.
Jam packed. Let's see if we can get MLJ to talk about us again.
So
Yes.
if you want to follow everything, you can go to theturnbuckletavern.com. Everything that we just talked about, you'll find links to it. There it is. BELCASTER's pointing to it.
Ace has one too up there. Oh, he's getting.
I do. I got to grab it. I got to grab.
Got to wipe that shit, man.
I got it.
Well,
Yeah.
we have 3 topics. Oh, there it is. Chad, what is that? Is that a print?
It's a print from
Okay.
Shutterfly.
Nice.
I like
I just
it.
used the logo and I just wanted a little representation, you know.
Gotta have it.
Love it. Hell
One
yeah.
question before we get into the debate, I have to ask Mike, because I'm not as tapped into the figure community. This is kind of in relation to Jeremy Padower gracing the Fig Night show. To me, just from an outsider, I'm not a big collector like you guys.
Yeah.
Is he like, he seems to me like a top 3 guest. Like, is there anyone in the figure community that means more that you would, you know, the white well that you're seeking to get? Like, he seems like he's one of those top upper echelon people within that community.
Yeah. Like if you had a tech podcast, he is a Bill Gates. He's a Steve Jobs. He's a Elon Musk. He's definitely I mean, he's the guy. He's one of the most successful toy makers in the world. He's one of the most intricate and just awesome collector out there. I mean, you heard the story about the Harry Potter book and all that stuff. Like he puts his heart into it, and he's just got his shit together, man.
So he essentially, like, if you're having a movie podcast and you're, like you said, Steve Jobs, so it would be like getting a Spielberg or a Tarantino on your movie podcast.
100%, man. Like that's your George Lucas on the Star Wars spectrum. You know, you're like, you made all these fucking characters, dude. You know, he was the first one to get a contract for WWE with Ultimate Warrior. Like,
wow.
He got him in Jack's Pacific for the Classic Superstars line. Like he put a lot of work into that shit and tried to make it very successful. It's awesome, man. So yeah, to answer your question 1000%, man. He might be the interview.
I just wanted to kind of put that out for the people that may not know how big of a deal it is to get him, because, like, you know, obviously the collector community knows how big of a deal it is, but for maybe, you know, the outsiders, like this was a big deal for Fig Night.
Yeah, no, and also, like, I mean, it's been said several times. You go listen to it. It's probably like 20% action figure talking, wrestling talking in general. The rest of it is just like a college education. Like, you just sit there and listen to the guy. He's so brilliant when he talks, and brings up amazing points about inflation and, like, you know, the pandemic. We had a great conversation about, you know, starting a toy line in the pandemic, and it's his responses are impeccable. Like, you can't beat that shit.
Yeah, that was awesome, man.
It's always fun to hear somebody casually mention that they paid $200,000 for a book.
Yeah. 100%, man.
You know, that's just wild that somebody can casually drop that.
In a whole PSA graded original Pokemon set. Like,
wasn't he involved with the Logan Paul getting that Pokemon, that card that he wore at WrestleMania too? So he
wouldn't even bring that up either. Like that.
Yeah,
that's how good of a talker he is, man. That's like, we were captivated as shit. It was beautiful, man.
Yeah, I give you guys a lot of credit. Really well done. And the thing is, there's so much more information to get into. So, I mean, we'll see exactly down the line, but there's so much meat on the bone with what he's done. Not in just the wrestling community, but wrestling figure community. There's other toy lines that he's worked with and continues to work with. His story is so fascinating to me.
Yeah. So you guys definitely stay locked on the Turnbuckle Tavern and Fig Night, because he will be returning in the future for sure.
100%, man.
I'm going to go ahead and plug something that's not even really been talked about. That's nobody's even confirmed, but we need to make it happen. Somebody needs to sit down and read that entire book.
I volunteer. I will do it. I got to get the book first, but once I get it in my possession, I'm ready to sit down on
That was
Twitch.
a great idea. That was some Andy Kaufman shit.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's the first thing I thought about. And I forgot, it was rather Nick or Tom mentioned something else. And I was like, no, it's Coffin with fucking Gatsby, man.
Yep.
It's like, it's
that's what
beautiful.
I told Chad
Absolutely beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's got to happen.
I'll do it.
Take it out of the petty cash. Turnbuckle petty cash, baby.
Yeah.
Hawk has all that.
Hawk has all of it. The Young Bucks signing. Luckily, we got the money back for MJF, but who knows?
Yeah.
All right. So we have 3 topics. You guys know the deal. We're going to get into it. You guys want to get into the first one?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go. All right. So our first topic of the evening, with recent fan backlash on wrestlers like Adam Cole, Eddie Kingston, even Piper Niven, is body shaming an issue in professional wrestling, and does it hurt a talent's push?
Let
you start, Mike.
All right. I'll take the full jump in. Yes and no. I think to the simpletons that are just, you know, wrestling fans that aren't paying attention to bigger pictures, they'll come in and be like, this guy looks like shit because he doesn't work out, or so and so, and like, you could take the blame on it, or you could put the blame on anybody you want, but I don't think it matters. I mean, look how successful Eddie Kingston is. You go we could take this back further. You got Yokozuna. These people, you know, if somebody body shamed Yokozuna back in the day, he'd be put through a fucking wall. You know, I don't think it matters on success. I mean, even your Bastion Boogers, you know, there's a place for everybody in wrestling. That's why it's so fucking awesome. And I don't think it takes away from somebody's success. We've seen plenty of successful people that aren't picturesque.
Dusty fucking Rhodes, man.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, Dusty Rhodes. I don't think Say the question one more time, Sneed.
So with recent fan backlash on wrestlers like Adam Cole, Eddie Kingston, Piper Niven, is body shaming an issue in professional wrestling, and does it hurt a talent's push?
If a talent is good and talented, it doesn't matter how short, tall, fat, skinny, or whatever they are. If you've got it, you've got it, and you're going to get over. Is body shaming an issue? With these idiots on Twitter, yeah, they're idiots.
Yeah.
They're idiots. They're talking about Eddie not being, it doesn't matter that he's got a gut. It doesn't matter that the guy has love handles. You're looking at the wrong things. You're focused on the wrong shit. You're tied up in just wanting to complain. This is a problem not only in the IWC, this is a problem in social media in general. Any little sect, whether it's politics, any type of fandom, whether it's Star Wars or anything, if you dive into those communities, there is a sect of those communities that get on services like Twitter and bitch about shit to bitch about it. So is it a problem in that regard? I think it is a problem. I don't think it's a problem for the wrestlers. I think it's a shame that people like Piper Niven look online and see that shit. But at the same time, I don't have much sympathy because you're in a business where you're putting your body out there. So I get it hurts. These are people, they have feelings, but at the same time, it's like, you got to toughen up a little bit. You got to get some thick skin and not take the opinions of fucking morons to heart. These are just people wanting to stir you up. So, but I get that some people, it's going to hurt your feelings. Shotzi Blackheart just left because people attacking her for botching matches. That's part of the game now, unfortunately, with social media. People hide behind, anonymous accounts and they just talk their shit. Yeah. So I think it's an issue with just morons in the IWC who just want to poke the bear, but I don't think it hurts people. I don't think Tony Khan's looking at someone and saying he's too fat. If you're getting cheered and you're popping those ratings,
yeah,
that's all that matters. They're not going to put you down the card just because you're too small, too fat. I don't think it's going to hurt a push.
Well, I think to a hardcore wrestling fan too, I don't think that the body shaming is coming from those people. I think it's the people that have a general idea of what they think wrestling is. And then they see these people and that's not what they think. So then they make the comments, well, this guy, he's a wrestler, he's fat, or he's little. How can he be? It's people that don't know.
Right.
That's the people that are having an issue with it. I think to the hardcore fans, like the four of us and people who are like, I don't think that it's an issue with them. But I agree with what you said too, Chad. Like if you're good, you're good. It's not going to affect your push.
Okay, just before Ace starts, I just want to push back on what you said just now. I agree. I think most of it is people like when all those NBA fans saw Jericho and went on social media and said, man, Jericho's fat now. Those are people that aren't in the know. Like he's still entertaining in the ring. Now he did lose a bunch of weight and he has came out and said he did need to lose a little bit of weight after putting mass on for New Japan. But my one pushback to that is, you do see a little bit of fans like us, hardcore fans, going after people like Adam Cole. And Adam Cole, he's not a top guy. He's not. I don't think you can put that necessarily on Adam Cole's size. I know that's what they're kind of targeting, but to me, if he was booked correctly, that wouldn't even enter your brain. He's done it before. NXT, no one was complaining when he was at the top with Undisputed Era. No one was saying he was too small. We bought in. I just think he's a victim of recent booking that's made those comments come to the surface.
Yeah. I also think that with wrestling, we're still sort of shaking off the whatever it is with having fed brain, because Vince McMahon has indoctrinated a whole crop of fans that want their wrestlers to look like the Ultimate Warrior and Lex Luger in his prime. And have these muscles that are on top of muscles. Right. And we're going in a different direction. And of course, wrestling is going to always evolve. And I think we're more progressive than ever in how we see our wrestlers and who our world champions are. I mean, Kevin Owens was champion, with Dusty Rhodes, you mentioned him. He was overweight, but there was a different presence about him. With Kevin Owens, he's a t-shirt wrestler. So I think for him, that has become more accepted, where we see a guy like Eddie Kingston, he could be legitimately a world champion. So the way the question's worded, I still think it is a problem, because you mentioned outlets like Twitter, other social media platforms that give idiots an outlet for them to have a voice and get to these wrestlers. I think back to a couple of years ago when unfortunately Hana Kimura committed suicide over being berated online. So it does have a serious effect. And I know those people that were harassing her online did face criminal charges in the Japanese criminal system. So, you know, I think it is an issue. It will always be an issue. It transcends wrestling, because people are always going to, anyone that has a voice, you're going to have idiots that put out that shit on Twitter or other things. And I think it's ridiculous, but I don't think it should stop pushes. I mean, we're seeing Keith Lee. He was more out of shape than he's ever been, and he still was given a chance to get out there because his skills, I guess, make him worthy of that shot. And Tony Khan knows that he probably could be in better shape. He could be, for his health, really. That's what Tony Khan's concern was the fact that he was at his unhealthiest when he was not wrestling. So, and we see Keith Lee, on Wednesday night, a week ago, he won the tag team championship with Swerve Strickland. So right now we have progressive thinking with Tony Khan. He has the ability to look outside of just these archetype of wrestlers that should look like Hulk Hogan, because we're way past that.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think that's a great point, because a lot of these people, Hawk, I'm going to call Hawk out. Hawk was away from wrestling for a long time.
He sure does love some Brian Cage.
Yeah. We give him shit for it, but that, he grew up in the era of the Giants, the era of bigger, stronger, the Ultimate Warrior era. And I think that has shaped a lot of casual fans. Like, they remember the Hogans, the Warriors, and now when they tune back in, so many years later, and you see an Orange Cassidy or a Danhausen, you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is a wrestler? This looks like my name. He's as big as my next door neighbor. But that, I think you put it great, Ace. Wrestling evolves, like the wrestling of today, I think, is better for it too. I don't want a bunch of muscled up guys. A lot of those matches, man, back in the day, we remember them. They were larger than life, but I think just the overall match quality has went up since bodies haven't been the focus of pro wrestling.
And you look at the death of wrestlers coming early is because of the steroid use, and it happened. Let's not fool ourselves and be naive to think Vince McMahon just changed because he wanted the wrestlers to have longer lives. It obviously stemmed from the steroid trial and then cracking down on steroids, and of course the Chris Benoit stuff that went down. Wrestlers got smaller. People started to respond to it, so it started to become a normalized thing. We still see those attractions and muscle-bound guys have a place in wrestling, because I think extreme body types will always have an attraction in wrestling. You're going to have the really big guys like a Yokozuna you guys mentioned. You're going to have the really jack guys like Brian Cage, because you go to them and you feel like they are larger than life. They're superhuman. But there's also the connection we have with wrestlers that look like us too. They're in the ring. It feels like I'm in there with these guys, and you connect a little bit better, for me personally, with guys who are my size. I picture myself in the ring with some of these guys, and it's more relatable to me. As a kid, maybe not, but for now, I like the guys. It's like the underdog. You look at Adam Cole, he's smaller. John Gresham's 5'6", so, and he's world champion. So I think it will always be an issue, but it just depends on if the booker feels like they can overcome that.
Yeah, 100%.
Like from Satnam Singh all the way down to Marco Stunt. That's the beauty of pro wrestling to me, especially in the eyes of a child getting into pro wrestling. What I liked about it when I was a kid, it kind of matched. It was superheroes come to life. And if you're a Marvel fan or a DC fan, there were heroes and villains of all shapes and sizes, and you look at, I grew up loving Ultimate Warrior, but there was also Bastion Booger, King Kong Bundy,
Adrian Adonis, a big guy as well.
Exactly. Yeah. There's something cool about that. And I love that now all body types are accepted even more than it was as a kid. Now we're getting, a Marco Stunt. That's an anomaly for a guy like that. to be in wrestling, but I thought his little piece that he had worked, like everybody has a place. I think it's short-sighted and just kind of ignorant to go after someone because of the way they look. There's a little bit of haterade going on there where jealousy, you're looking at someone living their dream and you want to take them down a peg. And I hate that aspect of social media.
And think about how Marco would have been booked back in the 80s or early 90s, where he was booked as a legitimate. I mean, he was sort of the manager, sort of active manager for Jurassic Express, but he would have been booked in the same light that King Kong Bundy was wrestling the little wrestlers at WrestleMania 2.
Yeah.
So now we've come a long way where we have shorter guys that are contending for world championships, whereas they never would have a chance to do that. But going back to the wording of the question, I'm stuck on that. It is a problem because people are always going to use that platform to spew negativity. It's just a matter of tuning that shit out and not letting it get to you. I know it's easier said than done when you're at that level.
Right.
Yeah.
Twitter's just a cesspool, man.
It really is.
Twitter, I mean, it's terrible. I mean, there's very rarely anything great comes from it. So
on that
honestly,
note, follow Turnbuckle Tavern. I'm just
follow Turnbuckle Tavern. But on Twitter, I have a habit. If I see a post, I'm following AEW news or WWE news, and I see some random fan pop up because they fall under that hashtag, and it's some ignorant. I block them. I mute them. They're not even talking to me, but I don't want that negative type of opinion flooding my feed. So social media is a good place if you surgically craft your feed. But if you just open the doors, you're going to get a lot of negativity. And I'm with you, Ace. I think it is a problem. As long as people have a voice where they can reach these people, that's the shame. They have a voice, and that voice can be heard by the people they're talking about. And you mentioned Hannah Kimura, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
22 years young, man. It's a terrible
tragedy.
thing. It's tragic.
And she a lot of wrestlers said she had a very, very, very bright future in the business, and bullying.
She was only a few years
bullying.
away from this relationship that Stardom is developing with AEW. So we could have seen her on the national stage in North America, not just in Japan. I mean, people have to use their words because the thing is, if you use your words in a negative way, you deserve to be held accountable for them. So I'm glad that those people that said those things to her are being tried at the highest account of the law, because it's ridiculous. They should be. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah. Well, does anybody have anything final to say before? Just be nice. Just be nice.
Yeah.
Man.
Love
everybody. Everybody can have. I'm not saying what do you guys think about the Adam Cole criticism? Do you think there's venom in that? Do you think? Because I know some of our colleagues, they don't think he's a main eventer. That's different than. You can have that opinion, and that's not necessarily negative. If you don't think he's a top guy, you don't think he's a top guy.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think about the backlash on Adam Cole?
I don't think there's anything wrong with his size. I just think that he's being used shittily, so I'm just not into him. That's it. I don't understand why you gotta look at it like that and just be like, yeah, man, he looks so tiny. It was like, if you ever been to a fucking TNA fan fest signing shit, I mean, if you're over 5'7", you're one of the boys, if not one of the big guys.
Right.
I mean, everything's like you guys said, they're evolving. Not everybody needs to be 6'7" and fucking 390 pounds, all muscle. You could be, 5'6" and 130 pounds and still make a career out of yourself. It's like there's a place for everybody. I don't understand what the problem is. It's the circus. Every show's got an act, man. The bearded lady to the fucking trapeze to the elephants. Everybody's got their own spots. And it's stupid, man.
At the root of it, wrestling is similar to a big top circus. I mean, this is the root of what it was, a festival outside where people were gathering to see attractions. And I think different body types provide different platforms for people to relate in different ways. You're going to have some young girl relating to a female wrestler, just as a young boy is going to relate to a different wrestler that is, a different body type. It's just a matter of how you relate to them. As a kid, I related to wrestlers that spoke to me. That is a huge thing about it.
I think for me personally, I don't care what you look like at all. It
Yeah.
all boils down to the one thing that I love most about pro wrestling, and it's story. If you tell me the story in the right way, I will buy the ticket and take the ride. If you lay it out correctly, you can make anyone look like a killer if you do it correctly. And I think a lot of times people maybe go at the physical when it's really the booking and not really. I think you can make anyone look like a top guy if it's handled correctly, as long as they have that it factor within them and they have the right story behind them. I think anyone pushed correctly with the right passion for the business, I think anyone has the possibility of being that top guy.
Just before moving on from it, Macho Man is the perfect example. If you ask the casual fan on the street, stop them and say, how big is Macho Man Randy Savage? They probably say 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". The truth is he's more closer to 5'11", 6 foot and 6'1", than he is the higher end of 6'5", 6'7". It's just how he carried himself. He was larger than life. But if you stood next to him, I don't know, I haven't met you guys in real life, but you might be the same height as him.
Yeah.
But that's just how he presented himself. He was always walking on his tippy toes. He felt bigger, putting his shoulders out. So, that's also, it's possible for a smaller guy to be at the top of the card. Randy Savage did it.
Yep.
And now we're getting matches like Wardlow and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And they're fucking great and entertaining, and it's good shit.
And we had Rey Mysterio beat Taker for the championship at one point.
Yeah.
Or wrestling each other for the championship on pay-per-view. So this is a tale as old as time, guys.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So are we ready to move on to our second topic?
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. Second topic of the evening. Will the Briscoes ever get a real run on a nationally televised promotion, or is it too late and their best years are behind them?
I'll let you start with this, Chad, because these are your guys. I know there's Sneed's guys as well, but he asked the question. So
I think my fantasy booker hats says bring them in, give us that triple threat, FTR, Bucks, Briscoes, all out. Seeds have been planted. But I've got this pit in my stomach where I don't think they're going to sign that big long-term contract with an AEW, and certainly not a WWE, because the way this question is worded, we're talking the big boys, the two big American national acts, AEW, WWE. Will they get a long run? We're talking about guys who've been doing this for a long time. They're no spring chickens. I think there's a possibility they could possibly squeak in with a deal, but are we going to get primetime Briscoes at that point? Like, 2-3 years from now, I just think they're a team. Like, the time is now. That's why every week on the flagship, we say, sign the Briscoes, Time Warner, sign the Briscoes, because these guys have been in the game 20 plus years and they're not playing rest holds like FTR. They're putting their body on the line. So at any point, their bump card could be taken out. And I just worry that I just think it's now. If you're going to do it, you have to sign them now. And the fact that this is getting tied up in some, kind of the social media cancel culture type of, they're digging up old posts that were made in character that were kind of disparaging. Those guys have atoned for it. They've gave to charities for it, trying to make up for it. And yet you have the IWC still kind of dredging that up to keep them from signing. I fear that will happen, that they won't get in now. I feel like it'll be a short maybe stint in AEW, but I do fear that they're not going to get that true push that they deserve on the national stage.
Yeah, I think Death Before Dishonor will be a huge step in the right direction of figuring out what is going on with the Briscoes and whether they have a place in AEW in the future or Ring of Honor's version in AEW. Because if it does well, money is the best deodorant for everything. It can overcome. And with the news that dropped last week with Chris Jericho and Brock Lesnar, that news in about 2000, whatever SummerSlam with that interaction based off that Lesnar and Orton match, where he was saying that Lesnar was dropping homophobic slurs in his face. Do we think that Brock Lesnar is not going to appear on WWE TV because that has been shed some light on? No.
Right.
So I think Brock Lesnar is a money mover. No matter what happens, barring anything crazy, he's always going to be on TV. So if the Briscoes sell a huge buy rate and he pops a huge rating for Ring of Honor, AEW, I think there will be a place for him because Warner Media will turn a blind eye for someone who's going to make the money. Do I think that's going to happen? Unfortunately, no. I think they're going to have a per diem date appearance thing with them. I think they'll probably work Ring of Honor here and there. And we may see them on Dynamite. That's kind of a bucket list for me. I want to see them appear live on TBS. I think that would be an awesome thing to see. But do I see them full-time working 52 weeks of the year where they're involved in storyline? I don't see it. And especially because they have so many bumps on that bump card.
Yeah, I was just thinking like, I think Tony's trying to be doing these big pay-per-view matches with them right now because he's trying to get them in the good graces of Time Warner and shit. And we obviously the last one went over fucking, it was one of the best matches of the year, if not the best match of the year. And we're going into round 2. And I think like Ace just said, pay-per-view buy rates are going to be a big deal. So hopefully this is going to shed some, positivity on them and they'll be able to sign with, an AEW or something like that. But I think as right now they're pigeonholed into this corner and, it's bullshit. They should get their flowers. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, as a diehard wrestling fan, we need those dream matches because aside from this FTR Young Buck scenario, there's other matches that can be had in the AEW landscape on a big stage. So we're missing out as a wrestling fan. I know Tony Khan's tapped into that. He knows it's a big deal to wrestling fans. He wants to give us what we want because he's one of us. He knows that the Briscoes have a place on a national landscape because they have so much more to give to the business. And not even to mention in the ring, they could teach the young tag teams how to work and do the things they do and pass on the knowledge because they're doing it on the indies right now. But there's something to be said about working in this little ecosystem that AEW's developed. They could provide a lot, even if they work as agents once they're done in the ring. They have a lot to give in the business because they have so much behind them. I mean, you said 20 years. They were in the beginning of Ring of Honor, 2003. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
There's two things. One thing that worries me and one thing that gives me hope. I think that the one thing that worries me is they're already taking dates after Death Before Dishonor. Now that's not a big worry because we know AEW allows their people to kind of float. So it's not a big worry. But the thing that gives me hope is I think the Bucks love the Briscoes and they're wrapped up in, they came out at Supercard of Honor. I think they have people in their corner behind the scenes at AEW pushing for them to somehow be involved in either ROH or AEW. I think Tony Khan himself, like you said, Ace, I think he knows the hardcore fans want this. I think he knows they deserve this. I think he knows that arguably they're the face of ROH. You can say Danielson, you can say Punk, but to me, no one says Ring of Honor to me like the Briscoes. They were there from the beginning.
In every era.
They're there. And I think this is strictly a corporate bullshit thing. I think the only holdup is Time Warner. If Time Warner didn't have this sticking point, they would have been signed. I wholeheartedly believe that. I think the Briscoes have spoke to that. Like they're ready. They're ready for that final big run in a company, but we'll see. What do you think, Sneed?
I don't think that they have. I don't think they have a run on a nationally in AEW or WWE. Obviously, not WWE. Like that's not even.
I don't want to see Briscoes in WWE. God damn.
No, if we're talking
Priest models, baby.
We're just, we'll say AEW. I don't think they have a run in AEW, and I think it's because they are the face of ROH, and I think they'll show up and have appearances on there. But I think that when ROH has a deal, I think we're going to see them over there to draw fans into ROH. And I think that's where they're going to have their massive final run or whatever they do. If it's their time to go away or their bump card's full, they're not going to be around anymore. I think their last big final run is going to be in ROH.
So you
So-
think they will sign with Tony Khan's ROH?
I think, yeah, because I don't know. I mean, depending on what deal they get with television, how that's going to be. We don't know. I mean, unless there's been something announced, I don't know if they've come out and said where it's going to be. But I think if we see them have a run, it's going to be in ROH. I don't think we see them have a full-time run in AEW.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, how fitting would that be?
Yeah,
I mean,
it would be great.
that's they like every generation of Ring of Honor, they've been there. Why not end it on a huge bang by doing it again? I think
So
that's fucking badass.
Best case scenario, I think, and then let's paint this picture for a second. So say Death Before Dishonor does a ridiculous buy rate, more so than they thought, with zero build on the back of FTR Briscoes too. So you have to give credit to the Briscoes. Say then Warner says, you know what, we'll put them on Dynamite for a week, and say they top 2.5 million people, which would top one of their biggest ratings of all time. I think then there become some consideration. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but I think they're behind the eight ball. They have to prove themselves more so than anybody else would have to because of the things in the past. And you can't change what has happened in the past. It's going to be a matter of just proving their worth. We all know that in ring, they can provide great matches, dream matches, in-ring work. But I think financially, they've never drawn at a big level like this. And I think they still need to prove it. And if this stuff didn't happen back in the day, they wouldn't have had to. But now, we're dealing with this scenario, and I think they're going to try. I think Tony Khan's going to go to bat for them.
Yeah.
I think the Briscoe AEW needs the Briscoes. I think
100%. I would love to see the Briscoes in AEW.
And it's nothing. I mean, the Briscoes themselves, yes, but their tag division. Tony Khan's all about this big splashy signing. Like bringing in the big. There's rumors. Are they going to go after Sasha Banks? They brought in Danielson and Punk. There's no splashier signing for me. Like, give me the Briscoes over the Usos any day. Say the Usos were on the free agent market. Give me the Briscoes in AEW over the Usos any day.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people shit on that because people hold the Usos very high. One of the best tag teams.
That's some Fred brain shit, though. Like, I mean, come on.
Shit, I lost my point. It was the Briscoes being in AEW would be great, man. I just fucking I don't see why it wouldn't be a smart move. And
it would be fresh. That's
what I was gonna. Proud and Powerful. If Proud and Powerful dips out,
exactly.
You're lacking a very, very prominent tag team on your roster, man. How are you gonna fill that void? The Briscoes would be a perfect add to that.
We've got a lot of guys like Gun Club, Varsity Blondes, the Acclaimed. We've got a lot of those up and comers, those mid card to up, the up and comers. But as far as like premier, the top of the heap in that division, who would you guys say? FTR, Bucks, Lucha Brothers, Proud and Powerful, even though they've kind of been mishandled and they're rumored to be, at least Santana is rumored to be leaving. Who
Team
else
Taz,
would be up there?
Swerve in Your Glory, I guess, because of the champs now.
But if we're talking
House
about
of Black,
cornerstone tag teams that have a history to them, Bucks, FTR, Lucha Brothers, and there's a fourth that give me the Briscoes.
Yeah.
Was going to be the Hardys.
Oh yeah.
That's shit the bed. But yeah.
But also go back to the history with, Jeff has had his history of issues with the law and substance abuse. They give him a chance as well. So I think Tony Khan's willing to figure it out and get to the table and give the fans what they want, despite the transgressions that have happened in the past. And I think what the Briscoes have done, I think they've made amends for the things that they've said on social media, in character, by the way. So they've been nothing but model citizens for every single promotion that they've worked for, whether it be NWA, Impact, all the different indies talk about them glowingly. So, I think everything, the writing's on the wall, and the table is set for a dream scenario throughout the fall, winter, where we get the Briscoes involved on national television. It's right there.
And I think they're a wrestler's wrestler. You never hear anyone saying they're dickheads. I don't like those guys. Yeah. They are a wrestler's wrestler. I just think you got to get them in there. And I know what you were just talking about, Ace. The thing that bothers me about this, like what they said in the past, like there's been a precedent set in AEW. If you guys remember, I always bring this up. Excalibur had to take a month off of commentary because someone dug up an old PWG show where he was dropping the N-bomb in character, and they still kept him, and he's beloved.
Sammy Guevara. What he said about Sasha
Exactly.
Banks on a radio show.
Yep.
So,
I think the difference is, the difference is they already had them then.
That's true.
True.
They already had them. They don't have the Briscoes yet. So when they bring the Briscoes in, if they bring the Briscoes in, then all of the outlets are going to bring up this story again, and it's going to be rehashed again, and it's going to be brought up. And if it could just die and people could just let it go and not have to have these stories, then we could have them there.
Do you think it won't die because of their presentation of just how they look, the way they look? I mean, that's the
way they look, the way they talk.
Yeah. Do you think it's because of where they're from and all of that? Do you think that plays a large part of it? Because Sammy's a clean cut guy. So, and Excalibur's a clean cut guy as well. So maybe
Let's be honest, they look like a couple fucking rednecks.
Yeah.
I mean, they're from Delaware. This isn't, they aren't Southerners as much as everyone thinks they're Southerners. They're Delaware chicken farmers. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. I mean, it's fucked up that we've come to that. Like, how long ago was it? It's not like it was like last year. It wasn't recent. It wasn't something that should be concerning, especially if they've fucking made their amends for it. So stupid.
And WWE had Hogan on WrestleMania years after everything happened with, everything that went on with him on that radio show with Bubba the Love Sponge. And Hulk Hogan is as damaged goods as damaged goods come. And
Vince
he makes money.
It just, and that's what I was going to say. It blows my mind that whatever FTR or whatever the Briscoes have said is still a problem, but no one's ever brought up what Vince McMahon said.
Right?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
How's that video not resurface in character?
TV, on fucking Raw.
Yeah, it was on Raw.
People just pop when they see it still. They don't give a shit to bring it up. They're just like, oh, that's fucking ridiculous.
People reshare the video.
Yeah.
Right.
What the I don't understand that at all.
It's a double standard, man. It's a pick and choose your battles type of thing. Obviously, it's Vince. He's the head honcho. He acts like he's, like we said in last week's debate, the Teflon Don, untouchable. He said so many foul things. I mean, you can even go back to, Bret Hart dropped some homophobic things during the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Go back
Ultimate
and watch some
Warrior.
of those. Yeah, like, Bully Ray.
CM Punk. Yeah, I mean, everybody's done it.
Everybody's done it.
Don't want to kill your heroes, guys, but come on. Not everybody is, everyone has their stuff in the past, character or not. Everyone deserves a chance. And if the Briscoes can draw, give them the goddamn chance.
Here's the thing that I think our society has lost a lot of, our current day society, that I think is vitally important to just humanity in general. And it's the ability to accept an apology.
Yeah.
People want to skewer people and hold them over the coals and burn them at the stake. And they want to topple people in the public forum. They want to see them fall and fail. And I think the ability to accept an apology, like that is so absent in today's just culture across the board in every walk of life. And, if every human had every bad thing they've ever done laid out on the table for the public to see, everyone would be having issues, everyone would have problems. Whatever that may be. No one is a saint. No one is perfect, but the ability for someone to atone for their quote unquote sins and say, hey man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend. I didn't mean to do this or that. Accept the apology, guys. Like it's a very easy thing. Sometimes people slip up and say stupid shit. And in this case, it was in character. So that, come on.
Yeah.
Well, step in the right direction. They showed their graphic on Dynamite. That was a surreal scenario for myself. So they haven't done that before. Even with Super Card of Honor, they never showed the match graphic for them. If you noticed that.
Yeah.
The first time they
did
did
beauty.
I hope they come out on Dynamite next week.
If that theme hits, man, like, I don't know, maybe because we're too close to it. I love them so much. Like, there's so many dream scenarios. I keep saying it, that all these different teams, imagine them working with Malachi or working with Kenny Omega eventually. It blows my mind. How
if I hear Reach for the Sky if I hear "reach for the sky," come on, man. I'm gonna lose my shit.
No, and you need something good like that to fucking hype the pay-per-view up, man. We don't got that much time. Make it happen. Grow up, man.
Grow up.
Grow up.
You know what, the Briscoes? We love the Briscoes.
We like love.
We like love. All right. Are you guys ready to move on to our last topic?
Let's do it.
Let's
man.
roll.
All right, let's go. Final topic of the evening. If their lives weren't cut short, who would have had the better career? Owen Hart, Brian Pillman, or Brodie Lee? What a question.
man. Yeah.
I've been mulling this over all day. I'll get in there because this is a tough
right.
one. I'm going with Owen Hart. And after I sat there and put everything on the table, it became a very easy decision for me, even though it was a tough question. And this is the reason why, because I think Owen Hart was on the precipice of having all different opponents come into WWF at the time. So he passed away in 1999. Right now, he'd be 57 years old. So if you can imagine a world, and I know people have read the books, if you read Owen Hart's book that was written by Martha and about his life, he wanted out of the wrestling business. So if we're assuming he was staying in the business, the contributions would have been immense. And think about the guys that would have been in only a few short years later. We got Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, all these different wrestlers. And then think about the landscape, how it changed throughout the 2010s. He would be undoubtedly involved back in WWE. Who knows what he would be involved with AEW in the back. He definitely would have had a world championship run. There's no doubt in my mind. So, I mean, Owen Hart, the potential of matches, his work style in New Japan, Stampede Pro Wrestling, WWE, he was working a style that is normalized today. He was doing it before anybody else was doing it. So I think he would fit right in. And I think would rewrite wrestling history. I know that might be hyperbole, but some of the matches he would have had, him being a top guy would have bumped somebody else out. And I think he would have been a multi-time world champion. And maybe it could have changed Brett's life too. It's just like this butterfly effect thing. I think Owen Hart is my answer because I just need to see him versus Eddie Guerrero in a primetime spot.
All right. I'm going to go.
Go.
I think Owen Hart, if he wouldn't have passed away untimely, he would have had some of the greatest matches. He's an underrated character worker. He was very entertaining. He would have done a lot. He would have been one of those, imagine matches with him and Bryan Danielson. I mean, they would have been phenomenal. And like you said with Bret Hart, but the man who would have been the biggest star, the biggest career, the biggest impact with the most underrated brain for the business, 100%. I didn't even have to think twice about this. Brian fucking Pillman all day, all long. The guy was doing story and character work ahead of his time that no one did. A lot of things he was doing is stuff that people are trying to replicate today. I think the business itself would have changed. I think he would have taken it in directions that would have blurred the lines of kayfabe even further. I think he had charisma that was untapped. Now I'm saying all of this trying to keep in mind that injury, act like that injury didn't happen, that took him down a peg. If he never had that car wreck, man, you're looking at, in my opinion, Attitude Era. We're just about ready to get into the Stone Colds and the Rocks. I'm putting Pillman right in the mix with those guys. I'm putting Pillman in feuds with Stone Cold. I mean, he had that feud towards the back end. I'm putting Pillman in feuds with Triple H, with The Rock, with Mankind. I mean, all day, all long, Pillman. Those promos from his final days in WCW, when he was a part of the Hart Foundation in the wheelchair, that dude was coming out in a wheelchair. He was doing the wheelchair gimmick, keeping himself relevant before anyone else was doing it. This guy was must-see TV. I think in my humble opinion, I think everyone throws around the word underrated. This guy's underrated. No, this guy, I think Brian Pillman is hands down the most underrated pro wrestler in wrestling history.
Yeah.
Look at his work with Lex Luger with the US title picture in early 90s. His match quality is very underlooked. If you watch his stuff in early 90s WCW, Brad Armstrong. He was putting on epic matches, man. And you hear guys like the Jim Cornettes, these wrestling brainiacs, Jim Ross, Cornette, talking about this guy had a different level mind for the business that not a lot of guys could tap into. So that's why I say flying Brian Pillman.
And also, you were talking about things that he was doing that nobody else was doing. Look at the yellow dog gimmick.
Yeah.
It was going on where he was, coming out at house shows and the yellow dog, nobody knew who it was, but he's standing on the turnbuckle, taking the mask up and showing, hey, it's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
He did stuff like that. And as a kid, when that was going on, insane. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing shot nostalgia, and like I'm sure you're about to mention this as well. Like, it's a huge thing. Like, if he was involved in wrestling today, he was almost ahead of his time, where people didn't appreciate in 1996, 1997.
Dude, he had a quality to him during that time, 100%. From the final days in WCW into his final run in WWE. There was a dangerous quality to him that I don't think has been replicated since.
He was almost a loose cannon.
The loose cannon thing. There was a reality to that.
Exactly.
Like, you truly didn't think like this guy could just pull his fucking dick out on live TV. Like, he's that guy. Like, what is he going to do on live TV?
Right.
I love Pillman.
No, I'm going on the thought that Owen's getting out of the business at the Blue Blazer age. Maybe he's frustrated. Martha's telling the truth. He was going to go become a fireman, whatever the fuck he was doing. Yeah. But he'll come back. 10 years down the line, he'll get his Hall of Fame. He'll sign a contract with Jeremy Padower. Should be great. He's still going to be awesome, but I don't think he'll ever live up to the potential that we hold him in. You know what I mean? It's the Kurt Cobain effect. Yes. We don't know what it was going to be. So it's so fucking, he was going to be the best. He was fantastic. God knows where the fuck his career was going though. Brodie Lee, unfucking believable performer. Again, I mean, we've seen him at his prime. We didn't see where else he could have led the business. So that's a hard judgment. I think Pillman all fucking day, because he was a Picasso of pro wrestling, man. He was one of those guys that painted a completely different fucking picture than anybody could perceive it as. And he was on the cusp of everything. And I think if he didn't have that car accident and we got to see him run, I mean, he wasn't old as fuck when he got, when he passed away. So I think it was like the fucking Doors of pro wrestling. That's how, like, it made everybody think differently. He made people break on through to the other side. Yeah. It's good, but I think Pillman would be the legend that everybody like, man, remember when Brian Pillman did that? Fucking changed the business, because I think it just would have kept going from his WCW run into his late WWF run.
And for me, this was easy and tough. Easy in the fact that I immediately picked Pillman. It was not easy in that fact, but it was hard because coming into a debate, I knew Pillman was going to be it. Yeah. And so I started when I was thinking about who I was going to pick. For debate purposes, I put the injury in there, and I'm gonna not pretend that it didn't happen.
Okay.
Just for debate purposes. Because Pillman was, immediately who I picked. But I'm gonna say Brodie Lee. I'm gonna, for those purposes, because I feel like Brodie Lee at the time of his passing was just finding what worked for him in professional wrestling. I think he went through so much with the Wyatts and then coming into AEW and then getting the TNT championship. That run with the TNT championship was legendary, and look how short it was.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think he was just coming into his own and just figuring out what was going to work for him to be a monster on the championship level, on the world championship level. So I think we were robbed of a massive champion in AEW, massive championship run.
Do you think that Brodie would have been a world title holder in AEW?
Absolutely.
By now,
I think so.
You
By
think he would've
now.
won by now?
By now, I don't know about by now. I mean, but I absolutely think that he would have been a champion in AEW.
And I think Dark Order would have had it. Would
Huge. Yeah.
that whole thing could have been different.
Yeah, and listen, we could have seen Brodie take the belt off of Hangman, and they tie it around like that because Hangman was like on the cusp of joining Dark Order back then, and there's so much direction, so much room. I mean, that guy could have had another 10-year career that would have been fantastic.
And if you want to talk about butterfly effect, I know that CM Punk quotes how they treated Brodie Lee's untimely death as one of the reasons he came in. I'm sure Tony Khan would have showed his true colors elsewhere, and CM Punk would have saw the authenticity of who he was and came in anyway. But you have to all of this unravels. You think about Owen Hart and Brian Pillman and Brodie Lee, everything that happened in the wrestling business with their passing. It's hard to say if any of these guys were alive, the wrestling business and landscape could look so much different. Pillman got that first guaranteed contract. They said it was Mero. I know that there's some reports that it's Mero or Pillman. Doesn't matter. Pillman went into business for himself and worked 3 different companies. He worked ECW, WCW, and WWF against each other and got guaranteed money when it was unheard of. It was like promotions, and you guys got paid peanuts for what we were making. He made himself a valuable asset. You guys really convinced me about Pillman, but I still am going to go with Owen. But the thing that really got me was he was a mid-carder in 1999. I mean, he was being punished because he didn't want to do the Jeff Jarrett thing with Deborah, and he was given the Blazer gimmick. I would like to think, though, with the renaissance of in-ring work, with Kurt Angle coming in and Chris Benoit, with these guys that are like work rate champions, if you want to look at 2003, 2004, where you had guys that were smaller, that were technicians in the ring, holding championships. Imagine Owen Hart versus Brock Lesnar for the championship out of WrestleMania, or Kurt Angle versus Owen Hart. So those possibilities for me as a wrestling fan, selfishly, I mean, those dream matchups are too much to pass up on. But as far as industry changing, it's hard to argue with the things you're talking about with Pillman. And he changed the landscape in the short time he was involved already. Imagine what he would have done with another 25 years on top of it.
And Owen, could you guys see? Here's what kept me from going. Oh, I mean, I was going to go Pillman because I'm just a Pillman mark, but with the thing that holds Owen back just a little bit for me, I feel like he's such a better heel than a baby face, and I don't feel like could you see him as a top guy baby face, Owen Hart?
I don't think he was ever given the opportunity in Stampede Wrestling. If you watch any of that stuff, he was working baby there, but his best work in WWF was a heel. So it's hard to say, but I think, yes. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a Hart legacy guy that people would have eventually got behind him. And once Brett left, I think there was a lot of story left on the table that they didn't utilize through 98 and 99. They immediately threw him down the bottom of the card, whether that was punishment or not. Missed opportunity to capitalize on the Hart name. They threw him originally in the tag team. 98, he was in the European Championship match at WrestleMania 14. He never was quite the guy, and I'm not sure why, but I think early 2000s they would have pulled the trigger and said, "Dude, he's one of the best workers we have here. Let's put the title on him."
Yeah, I just didn't see WWE or Vince. We'll just call it Vince at this point. I didn't see Vince changing his mind about Owen, and I think his brain was elsewhere at the time because he had other people to build, and I think Owen was just a back burner because it was Brett's little brother. It's crazy. So I think Owen would eventually probably join Brett in WCW, and it wouldn't have gone anywhere. It's late WCW, and then he would have been back in WWE, 10 years later doing fucking the Hall of Fame speech. That's as far as I could see it going. Especially with his wife saying he was on his way out of the business.
I have a question for you guys about Pillman. So obviously Stone Cold famously has a relationship with them, former tag partners. They were really good friends. He was wearing the chain going through most of his career, like the chain that he wore with the Hollywood Blondes. Do you think maybe in lieu of someone else getting a push, I think of someone like The Rock getting the opportunity to be boosted into the main event to match the momentum of Stone Cold, do you think Pillman would have been given that boost instead of The Rock? And is it possible? I mean, The Rock seems like he was undeniable, but do you think it's possible we don't see someone emerge as that guy because Pillman's there?
I think The Rock would have he would have bubbled to the top. He was point, just I think honestly, I think everyone would have kind of made their own way. Maybe Triple H doesn't get to the point.
Yeah.
Maybe, if I don't know. That's a good question though.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to fantasy book all those things, as morbid it might be, but like to sit there and say what would have happened if this didn't happen. So scenario wise, if Owen was alive, Brian Pillman was alive, and Brodie was alive, book the next 5 years of their life, what it looks like for the wrestling business. It'd be fascinating to look at everyone's answers and where it would be.
Oh yeah.
Imagine Pillman going up, like teaming with Austin to take on the corporation. Shit they could have done, or like,
Man.
I mean, yeah, there's so the invasion angle would have been great with Pillman. You think shit like that, like, you don't know what side I'm on. I'm fucking, I played the cards. There's so much you could have fucking did with it, and it's a damn shame on everybody's level, man. It's a shame to fucking see what happened.
I still think they should have put the title on Owen 1994 SummerSlam, like in the cage. Put the title on him, goddamn it.
Yeah,
It would have been great.
yeah.
Fuck, man.
It's that Fed brain.
Yeah.
sneaks right past you, man.
Same thing with Rick Rude against Ultimate Warrior, man. I watched that. I love the Warrior, but Rick Rude was ripping, roaring hot as a heel. Pull the trigger, man.
Yeah, they screwed, man. Rude put him to the top.
Now I'm pissed. I gotta leave.
Yeah.
Hate your fucking mustache.
God damn it.
All right. Does anybody have anything to say before we wrap up?
No, that was a really good conversation.
Yeah,
Fun.
I love that. Love Pillman.
Chad, you have us a
Goddamn.
round robin.
A round robin. Okay. Just going off of our discussion we just had with Pillman. Let's leave Brodie out of it because it's a recent passing and we've seen him a lot with the crop going on now. Pick one wrestler you would like to see Pillman or Owen feud with. What would be a great feud for them with modern day wrestlers that they never got the opportunity to feud with? I'll go ahead and kick it off. I have for Brian Pillman, I would love to see Pillman Punk in a feud. And for Owen Hart, I would love to see a babyface Owen Hart against a heel Chris Jericho.
Ooh,
Man, that's tough.
some history there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with mine quick, just knee-jerk reaction because this is the speed lightning round. I'm gonna go Pillman Moxley.
Oh,
I think their styles would
That'd be
clash
good.
really well. I'm gonna go Owen Hart, Kenny Omega with the Canadian backgrounds. I think that match would bang.
oh, yeah.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Owen Hart. Man, I would definitely go with Bryan Danielson. How can
Oh,
you not?
man.
Yeah.
Just imagine both their brains collabing on something like that. It'd be fucking wild. Man, that's a tough one. You know what? I would love to see a feud between Eddie Kingston and fucking Brian Pillman.
Wow.
Imagine the wordplay. Imagine the heat going back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, man. Chills.
So good.
I need a cigarette, Belcaster.
Yeah. So with Pillman for me, Pillman MJF.
Pillman
Oh,
MJF. Woo.
That'd be so
oof.
good.
Pillman
Fire.
MJF. And knee jerk was Owen Hart Danielson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire.
Ooh. Quick. What about Pillman versus Pillman Jr.?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking,
Oh, yeah.
like a I'm taking the throne type deal. Oh fuck, man. There's so many good possibilities.
That would be good. That would be good.
That would be.
So you guys are starting your week all hot and bothered, listening to this in the morning, getting how do you even get a function? I'm all sweaty.
The
Dude,
day's over.
That's one of my
Wrap up,
favorite topics we've had.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
this was very, very in-depth thinking going on that.
Yeah.
Well, man, it was great having you guys on. Always great having Tavern. Look at Mike's just
Breaking out the
breaking it out.
Tell me more, boys.
We have so much going on, guys. Tell a couple of things that you got just to get it out there.
All right, so Friday, Shot Nostalgia live, 7 p.m. We're talking about WCW 1996, our biggest episode yet. Bash at the Beach. We got Matt from Extra Cooler. We don't know who else is jumping on with us, but we have the final We get the heel turn coming. We're finally here. This is why we picked 1996. So come join us Friday. It's going to be a blast. Also, obviously, if you guys wait for it, we're going to do Honor Society Death Before Dishonor Thursday, 7 p.m. in our normal time slot, talking about the preview. And we're going to do a reaction show as well. AEW Rapper Show Wednesday. You guys can catch me here on the Tavern.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Just add me to Fig Night and Sessions, and we got a fucking whole week program. And the debate this week. I did a grand slam.
You pulled the Briscoes on WrestleMania weekend again, dude. This is
Mike's always the Iron Man, dude.
I'm just here, man.
All right, guys. Well, again, it was great having you. We're going to wrap up.
Reach for the sky.
Oh, there we go. Just a quick plug. Check out Before Our Time. That's the new show following Shot of Nostalgia. Before Our Time, Nick Storm, Young Anthony, they journey through WrestleMania. Two youngins who weren't even alive during a lot lot of those manias, so it'll be fun to watch them deep dive into those.
I can't wait.
WrestleMania 2 this week, Friday night.
That'll be fun.
Awesome.
From 3 different cities, goddammit.
Yeah.
Chicago, Long Island, and LA, baby.
It's
gonna be
Nostalgia Fridays down at the Turnbuckle Tavern, man.
I love it. I love it.
Love some nostalgia. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. This is normally where we say, Tom, get your shit in, but I think we have Tom here, don't we?
Oh my goodness. Make sure you check out Turnbuckle Sessions with me and girl Mike BELCASTER. It's the best time ever.
What's that pizza?
Peace, pizza, love, and wrestling.
Court is dismissed.